And again, the curtain has been pulled back. I want to show this clip of AOC, who's talking specifically about this curtain being pulled back and exposing white supremacy, which is just, it's always been there. It's been, it's been covered up through things like low taxes and all the other gimmicks that the Republicans have put on the table. But ultimately, hasn't it always just been about white supremacy? Let's play that clip.
When I hear that Representative McCarthy is going to pull a member aside who has made white supremacist sympathizing comments, the thing that I think is, what is he going to tell them? Keep it up? Because there are no consequences in the Republican caucus for violence. There's no consequences for racism, no consequences for misogyny, no consequences for insurrection. And no consequences means that they condone it. It means that silence is acceptance, and they want it because they know that it is a core animating political energy for them. And this is extremely dangerous, an extremely dangerous threshold that we have crossed, because we are now away from acting out of fealty to their president that they had in the Oval Office. And now we are talking about fealty to white supremacist organizations as a political tool. And for, Republicans that are in that caucus that are unwilling to hold that accountable or to distance themselves from it, we really, really need to ask ourselves what they are evolving into. Yeah. Because this is no longer about a party of limited government. This is about something much more nefarious.
Well said.
I think it was always about it in my mind.
I was going to say it was never about limited.
She's a stateswoman. She's got to be a little bit more. But she mentions this line. I mean, there was a line, right? There was a line that they never at least publicly crossed or sided with, because then the shtick would be, I think the business model of the Republican Party used to be, and I'm saying like maybe the last, 50 years, let's just leave it there, that the Bush era Republican Party would not publicly play into racism. They would denounce it. And they'd use dog whistles.
Primaries.
I'm not disagreeing, but I think what she's trying to say is this wouldn't be condoned or they wouldn't look the other way. The McCarthys wouldn't look the other way under the Bush era.
Yeah, they replaced the dog whistle with a bullhorn. But
much better said.
It's the same stuff, right? And I gotta say, as a 50-year-old Black man, I'm concerned about the level of extremism, but obviously not surprised. I'm more concerned. So I'm both concerned and hopeful. I've seen a critical mass of newly politicized or not particularly politicized white people speak up around race that I've never seen before, and that's very reassuring. So it's not the usual suspects. It's regular white folk who are not involved in all kinds of things who are saying this is really messed up. So that's actually good. The challenge I'm having is when are white people going to monitor other white people and hold them to account? Because that's not the job of BIPOC folk. Yeah. We don't have that luxury or authority or agency. That has to be white folk working within their own respective community.
Or even the numbers. There's a lot of white people out there, and they're, who knows what they're all up to. We couldn't keep track.
That's true.
How does that happen in the Republican Party? Do you how do you, no one's going to listen to like George W. Bush acting like Black people suddenly matter. Don't forget what Kanye said. I hate to quote him.
Where has the political penalty been for anyone who has denounced white supremacy, Donald Trump, anything even Trump adjacent? None. Quite the opposite. You have people piling on the 10 folks who voted for impeachment, et cetera, et cetera. I think you can make a case that Donald Trump befuddled some voters in Georgia and things got real confusing there at the end of you shouldn't vote and if QAnon and their babies or whatever. But the only thing that I would say is the Republican Party themselves and the elites have made there be no political cost, and therefore what AOC is saying rings true.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think maybe white consumers could have an outsized influence. And I don't mean white voters, but consumers, right? When these corporations don't want to be on the wrong side of history, as bad as their business models are, as predatory as they are, they want to look like they're on the right side. They flash a Black Lives Matter sign, or they do whatever, PR that they do. But if a critical mass of white consumers say, we don't want you giving to extremist candidates, we don't want you supporting X, Y, and Z. When you shut off the spigot to fundraising, I assure you, you will get people's attention. Now, it may not, that's not the only way to do it, but it would be an interesting way, because obviously our political economy is influenced by by capitalism. It's all connected in the United States, most of all. So those corporations who cut major checks to folks in Congress, directly or indirectly, are folks who are very sensitive to what consumers think. And none of them, even the worst corporations that we can just bash, they don't like that bad press either. And I just think that there needs to be more creativity and coordination amongst white communities to figure this out, because this is not the job of Black and brown folk.
White communities band together. Oh, that's a concerning comment in my mind. But.
No, I mean, the most concerning thing, not to just make it a little worse right at the end here, though, is because normally you'd ask for law enforcement to look into it. But part of the problem, as we saw on the 6th, is that there is just a perfect spectrum without an exact break in between white supremacy and law enforcement as we understand it in America.
Well, but that's actually a great kind of way to drive a wedge is, the FBI has been investigating white supremacy and law enforcement around this country for years. Where have those investigations gone? Just like the investigations of what's going to happen with Wall Street. Nowhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Nowhere. Rep. Rad, representing the 200th District of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Always a pleasure. Ron Chowdhury in Berlin, just doing some political filmmaking and, taking on fascists. That's what he does. He just organizes and helps those candidates fight the fascists because it's spreading a little bit too quickly. Always a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next week. And I'm going to do some shout outs because yesterday I didn't have time. Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.